Ladies and gentlemen, Ashaman, Ice to Die, Shadow Spawn, and that other guy. Welcome to another episode of the Black Tower podcast. You're breathtaking.
Shadow Spawn.
You guys are awesome. We're happy to have you here. Thank you for joining us here at the Black Tower podcast. You know who we are. We are a Wheel of Time podcast, and we are grateful to have you here. And we ask you to line up in an orderly fashion to receive your dose of taint for the week. I am one of your hosts, as you know. My name is Josh. I am your Sorovan Mahale.
And I am another one of your hosts, Andrew, your Bajan Mahale.
And I am the last of your illustrious hosts, your Aman Khan Mahale, Daniel.
But that's not all. And as you can see, if you're watching us, you know there's more. Because there's always more.
There's always more. But wait, there's more. Call in the next 10 minutes and you might get a bonus mystery guest.
Oh, bonus mystery guest. Ring, ring. Who is this calling? Opportunity. And it's calling your cell phone. You didn't answer because you thought it was a robocall. You missed out.
God, that hurts. Why would you say that?
It does
That's
hurt.
Like
no, the guest
to
we
my
have
life,
tonight.
Josh.
The guest we have tonight is actually really fun and really super fun because it lines up beautifully with our topic for tonight, which is also a
the
super
guest
fun
lines
topic.
up with the topic that we decided on.
It's an amazing concept. More people should do this.
But before we introduce the guest, as it looks like we're getting ready to, so that our guest only has to suffer in silence for a few minutes off screen rather than on screen, let's do our quick pluggy thingies that we do and get those out of the way. Here's the beautiful
thing about our plugs, Andrew. Literally everything is at blacktowerpod.com.
Did you know that the Black Tower podcast has its very own website? No? Well, then make sure you head on over to www.blacktowerpod.com for even more Black Tower podcast tainty goodness. On our site, you can find all of our social media links conveniently located towards the bottom left if you're on a computer. There are links to the Facebook page, our Twitter, our YouTube, and our Instagram. So you can keep up to date with us by finding all of our social media there. Also on our website, you can find a link to the forums that we have, where we have all kinds of discussions and, as Morshadi has done plenty of times, run naked through the forums. No worries, there's no pictures. We turned off the cameras for that. You can find links to Black Tower Podcast merch, both on New Creations by Jen and from Spreadshirt, where you can find any of our designs that we've ever put out, and you can go and get yourself whatever kind of merchandise you want, be it shirts, glasses, aprons for cooking, bags, hats, buttons, anything that you want, you can find in between the two merch shops that we have. The website also has a very quick and accessible link for our Discord, where you can come and join all of the fantastic tainty discussions that we have in our Discord server. We do have sections for spoiler and non-spoiler content, so you can come and enjoy something for you if you have finished a series, or something for you if you haven't finished a series. Another key feature is our Dragonsworn On Demand section, where you can automatically see the most recent 5 videos from our YouTube that will play on an automatic playlist for you on the website. A quick button to get to our YouTube there as well, and you can just listen to the most recent 5 episodes that we have posted on Podbean. If you're curious about events and things we have coming up, we also have the Black Tower calendar, where you can go and look and see when we generally do our live Patreon recordings, when our episodes go live, and any events and things that we have coming up that we can put on the calendar. A quick link to our Patreon, where you can join and get access to all kinds of different content, including pre-recordings, and depending on the tier, early access to episodes, shout outs, all that kind of fun stuff. And of course, we will update the Patreon whenever we do have the updates ready to go live. We are still working on that. That is coming as of right now. Make sure you head on over to our website, where you can literally get access to anything that we have and we put out.
And back in. The Crystal Barista is one of the long-time running sponsors of the Black Tower podcast. The Crystal Barista is Adrian, my wife. She's awesome.
All right. Sorry to interrupt whatever you may be watching or listening to, whatever topic we're covering right now, but we absolutely have to take a moment to talk about and thank our friend Josh's better half and the longtime sponsor and supporter of the Black Tower podcast. Of course, this is the Crystal Barista. Whether you seek crystals and minerals and the like for their cleansing, healing, and positive vibes, or you just enjoy them and think they look pretty neat, you can find anything you could possibly want with crystals and minerals here at crystalbarista.com. With everything from individual pieces that can be ordered to monthly subscription boxes, there is something here for absolutely everyone, for every occasion, for whatever you could possibly want. There's no way you can't find something that you would like in her store. On the website crystalbarista.com, you can browse by different categories, including the subscription boxes, minerals and fossils, crystal healing, stone jewelry, all the way to just the raw slabs of whatever may be being sold. And if you're more budget conscious and you want to look at anything that is limited by price, you can look for anything that is from $0 to almost $25, $25 to $50, and then anything that may be over $50. Now, if you are a rock hound and you want to get some really good tools to help you in your hounding, the Crystal Barista provides those as well. And you can find those on the same website. It's a very user-friendly website. You can find absolutely anything you need for your rock hounding, mineral, crystal, fossil needs. Now, going through the website, you can also find links to the Crystal Barista's Twitter, the Crystal Barista's Facebook, as well as the Crystal Barista's Instagram, and a couple other things. Make sure you go and follow the Crystal Barista on Twitter at RockPick, RockPick, to get updates as they come out and to be up to date on what exactly is going on with the Crystal Barista. She does like to throw up things on Twitter that may be available for you to get at slightly cheaper prices, but more commonly you can find that over on the Crystal Barista Facebook. So again, same name on Facebook, RockPick, and you'll be looking for the page that says Crystal Barista, formerly Rockpick Legend Company. Facebook is a good place for updates for the Crystal Barista. And if you just like to look at pictures and kind of see everything that's going on mixed in with some updates, hit up the Crystal Barista on Instagram. You can find her at the Crystal Barista. Again, that's barista with one R, Barista, which I think is the only way to spell it. But we all know how much trouble I have with spelling. So make sure you go over and check out what the Crystal Barista has to offer and tell her that the Black Tower podcast sent you. 2 shout outs.
Yeah, we have a couple of promotions to talk about.
Yeah,
So shout them out.
Even though it's not listed as a benefit, when you get promoted in the Black Tower on our Patreon, we shout it out because we're excited. Yeah, when you promote yourself in the Black Tower on Patreon,
it's
we
an
shout you out again.
unwritten recognition.
Yeah. So ton of thanks to Emily. Congratulations on maintaining your rank of soldier. Thank you so much for going the extra mile to maintain your rank. You're the best. And also huge thanks to Matthew for becoming our first, as of the new structure of the tower, Ashaman. So congratulations. Your stuff will be shipped out to you here relatively soon. You only have to wait after this episode goes live, like a week and a half, 2 weeks before we put it out.
He did it because he wanted the sword and the dragon, and I can't blame him.
So,
also, guys,
technically we could go ahead and send you the sword challenge coin because you already are that, but I figured you might want to get both at the same time. So we'll just wait and send them both at the same time.
Also, guys, real quick, again, I will not take long on this, but for those of you who are patrons, you already know that a lot of things on the Patreon shifted, which is, of course, why a promotion for someone came in the form of they were a soldier and they are also now promoted to soldier. But it is really important, if you have not gotten a chance, anyone who is not a Patreon, to go and check out our Patreon. a lot of really awesome things happened. We had a live stream the other day to commemorate it and to talk about some of those changes. So please go over and check it out. I think you'll be really happy with what we're doing. We're actually really happy with what we've changed it to. We were always a little disappointed in ourselves for not sort of doing this from the get-go. But we're gotten to the point where we have actually put it out to the point where we are happy with it. And again, that is not to say that it will not, continue to evolve and change and become better in the future. It's just that I think that it is now at the point where we are actually quite proud of it. So go and check it out. Take a look. Make sure that you are up to date on everything that's going on. And we would love to see you become a patron. But again, we have made our guest wait so long already. It is time.
I'm going to apologize to Smack real quick. Yes, we're sorry about the seemingly demotion that's not actually a demotion.
Smack,
Yes.
I want you to know that right now there is only one other person who's ever been demoted in the Black Tower history, and that was Andral.
And look where he is now.
So, brother, you're fully recognized as an Ashman in the eyes of the Black Tower, and no one can take that from you.
Yes.
But we're not
yes,
here
Daniel, as
to
you were
talk
saying,
about that.
before we test their patience any longer,
And
who
in
is
the
our
words
guest?
of Mr. Miyagi, never keep lady waiting.
Accurate. But Josh, you were in the middle of introducing our guest earlier, and I think you were doing a really good job. So you want
Yeah,
to
we just passed the
finish
buck.
that train of thought?
Daniel, who's our
here's the thing.
guest? Oh, Josh,
Lines
weren't
up-
you in the middle?
Lines up beautifully with our topic for tonight. Our topic for tonight is fandom interactions, which, hold on, I know exactly what everybody just thought about, and we're not going to go that. We are the Black Tower. We focus on building a positive environment and atmosphere, and I don't think anyone can dispute that our guest has done so much work to help foster a welcoming and positive environment. And it's absolutely amazing. And I can't even say enough to say thank you for that. And I just want to introduce her right now. You know her as Zuul. And if you are in literally any Discord, Wheel of Time themed Discord, you're usually welcomed by Zuul. To the point that Andrel Bard of Time even wrote a song specifically about her. She's amazing. Thank you, Zuul. Thank you so much for joining us. We so much appreciate having you here. It's absolutely an honor and a pleasure to have you.
Truly.
Thank you for having me.
Say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone. I'm Zuul, and you will find me in a lot of Discords. And in plenty of them, I am a mod, whether I'm actively modding or just kind of lurking, keeping an eye on things.
Quietly.
She's
But I
always
also mod-
watching.
Yes, I also mod.
Always watching, Wazowski. Always watching.
But I also mod in a few YouTube chats as well. So there you'll see me as Dana Lou Who, like Cindy Lou Who, but Dana Lou
Nice.
Who. So yeah. But on Discord, I am Zuul, as in there is no Dana, only Zuul.
I like it. Only Zuul.
I love it. And so when we say we talk about fandom interactions, there are specific things we want to talk about. But again, we're trying to steer away from the drama because human beings are dramatic things.
What?
That is a poem. Human beings are dramatic things.
Where are your
But-
bonkos?
We want to discuss, from the perspective of, hi, I am a new Wheel of Time fan. Where go for fandom things? I think that's kind of the POV.
The short
that we're
answer
looking
is
for.
just not Facebook. Other than that, I feel like
other
you
than
can-
our Facebook.
I mean, it's not necessarily just like as you're new to the fandom and where do I go.
But that is
So
the
if
main
that hasn't,
issue.
if that isn't a video or something that's been made, it probably should be. I imagine somebody's done it by now.
And if not,
hey,
definitely
unraveling the pattern
do.
as a subsection of your Wheel of Time 101. How about a Wheel of Time fandom 101?
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
Here's what not to do.
So,
which is kind of what
you
we're
just
doing.
joined the Wheel of Time
356.
Whether it's because you've just watched the show, you've just picked up the Eye of the World for the first time, or a friend has introduced you to the Wheel of Time, there are a few things you should know. In this video, we're going to cover all of those things that you should know with our friend, Zuul.
I love it.
Let's be honest. Your friend did not ask you if you want to read the Wheel of Time. Your friend has been hounding you and bothering you for the last decade. Are you ever going to read the Wheel of Time? Because all of us need to talk to someone about this.
So fun fact real quick. I have actually had a friend that I met 8 years ago when I first moved to California. Actually, 8 years ago. I was right. 8 years ago when I first moved to California. And he is an avid audiobooker. He doesn't actually do a whole lot of just like reading of actual physical books, but listens to a fuck ton of books on Audible, which is awesome. I recommend it. But I tried to get him to read The Wheel of Time, and he listened to The Eye of the World and couldn't finish it. And it hurt me so bad. But it was okay. Because eventually when I told him that I joined a podcast, he was like, you know what? You're a good enough friend. And if you believe in this enough to have started or joined a podcast about it, I will make the effort. And so he finished the Eye of the World and then started The Great Hunt. And he finished The Great Hunt and was like, okay, so remember when I couldn't make it through The Eye of the World? That's because it felt like a YA novel. But The Great Hunt is like where Robert Jordan seems to have hit his stride a lot more. So now I'm actually really excited about getting to the next book. And I was like, yes, it's happened.
But the thing about that is when you read the series, and it's so tough because I've had people say that to me. They were like, I read the first book and oh God, I just can't. And I'm like, but no. There are callbacks to the first book so far in the series, and it just makes it so amazing. You have to please invest, please.
Yes, but again, we are talking about just the fandom in general and the community surrounding it. So I actually have a question for our guest because when it comes right down to it, I've seen a lot of different, people in Discords and things like that. I'm certainly not unaware of what's going on, but as stated, you are one of basically like the welcoming committee for the community. And I think A, that's awesome. And B, I'd really like to hear sort of a little bit more about what your experience is with that, as well as sort of what is sort of like the most common people that you see joining the Wheel of Time Discords and see joining the Wheel of Time community. Would you say that it's a lot of first-time readers? Would you say that it's a lot of people who have been hounded by other people for years? What is sort of the dynamic of people who join?
Okay, so first of all, I am someone who is a veteran reader. And I started reading in 1992 and then just read each book as it came out and really never talked to anyone about it after the first few books. I had a few friends. So
Stop it. Andrew and Daniel, both of you, right now, stop it. I'm sorry. Zuul, continue. Us of a more mature age.
Missed out. I'm sorry.
I did. I started reading it when I was 8. Fuck me.
Well, I hope not when you were 8. Anyway.
I did actually. Oh yeah. No, I understand now.
No, Zuul.
We're good.
You and I are of a generation, and Daniel and Andrew are of a generation.
You can just pat that.
Okay, boomer.
I'm gonna say it right there, and I'm gonna leave it.
Right. But anyway, go ahead.
So anyway, so I didn't really have a lot of people to talk to about it because I had a few people who read like the first 4 or 5 books and then either said, I'm not interested, or I'm just going to wait until the series is finished. And some of us had bets on how many books it would be. And they were like, oh, maximum 8. And I'm like, at least 10, at least 10, because at that point in the 90s, right, you were getting series 5 was a big series, right?
Oh,
you were getting mostly
there were no big sagas back then.
Exactly. They just didn't happen. So so I would just and eventually it got to be where my sister would say, hey, let me know when a book's coming out and I'll get you that for your birthday. And so after a couple of years, I would look it up and I would find out when the release date is, until one time I was like, it's been a while. I haven't heard anything about it.
Oh no.
And I looked it up and I was like, wait a minute, I already have that book. That's the most recent one. What? And I looked it up and discovered that Robert Jordan had died. And oh my gosh. But I wasn't on any forums or anything. So I didn't know anything about this. And was absolutely
on your Netscape navigator, on your AOL minutes, you weren't
I just wasn't online. I didn't do stuff online. I wasn't in any chat rooms of any kind, anywhere. And so I was absolutely tickled when I did find out that it was being written by this new guy, Brandon Sanderson. And when those books were being finished, then by this point I had children, and eventually my girls, said, hey, you seem pretty excited about these books. Can we read them? And so I had two children who read them. One read all the way through to the end. The other one stopped at book 9.
Great.
But we still just didn't talk about them a lot. They each got a friend into it. We still didn't talk about it a lot. And so I don't know why I Googled it. I guess I didn't. I guess I was on Instagram for all my quilting stuff. Note the quilts for all my quilting stuff. And I just happened to type in Wheel of Time, and I found the Dusty Wheel. Because I guess I don't know if I'd seen something about Rosamund Pike or whatever. And I was like, oh, what's this? So I looked it up. And so then I started finding, Nameless and Daniel Green and, Legendarium. And, and so this was in just after the Dusty Wheel started. And so as they started, and I'd never listened to a podcast. So I listened to at all. And so that's when I started picking up podcasts along the way. So, what spoilers or this, that, or the other. And
or Black Tower podcast.
Well, I listened to a little bit of White Tower, a little bit of Black Tower. But the thing is, there's so many different flavors, right? And you have to find the ones that suit you. And
that's true.
Do you like hard candy? Do you like jelly beans? Do you like gummy
chocolate
bears? Do you like chocolate?
Exactly.
I would say that the Black Tower is like an 80% cocoa content chocolate bar, because it is definitely
maybe
not
90,
some people's cup of tea.
Maybe 90, because
here
I am. I'm like a 75% chocolate girl in real life. Occasionally, I go all the way up to 90. So depending on, and the thing is I listened to Black Tower in different situations. In different situations, sometimes you guys are 90, sometimes you guys are 70, 75%. You kind of like in that range. And so sometimes you're my cup of tea, sometimes you're not. And that's just, but
we still love you.
Oh, I love you.
Still love us.
Pieces. Absolutely.
Hey, sometimes we're not even our own cup of tea. It's great.
Those
you can tell by
episodes are
Andrew's
great.
face right now that we are not being his cup of
those episodes are awesome.
So I didn't get into Discord right away. And when I did, I was a little daunted by it. Didn't know what was going on. Didn't know how to use it. Eventually, I did get into using 2 Discords, What Spoilers, and Namelesses. And eventually some other ones started coming on board. And some of them were brand new. And I just got really involved in them and helped sort of, greet all the people as they came in. And then, and it just sort of came naturally to me. So then I got asked to be a mod here and a mod there. And what's your opinion on this or on that? And sometimes people would come in, it would be somebody who would be a new reader. Sometimes it'd be someone who has, like me, just didn't know the fandom existed, had never been involved, didn't know what Discord was. And I started going, you know what? I've been in here for X number of months, and it took me a while to figure things out. Jump into voice chat. Let me walk you through some of the things you want to do in Discord that will make your life easier, help you get a little comfortable with it. And so there are lots of ways that you can make people feel comfortable. One of the things too is to find, hey, what are you interested in? Because there is so much out there, and there's so much more all of the time, and there's so many different flavors. And so that's one of the things. And if you are a first-time reader, I can show you where to go to be comfortable and that you're not going to be spoiled. Are you a first-time reader who doesn't care? Well, all right. Do you want to be spoiled? I can.
Have we got a show for you?
Exactly.
Vegetarian.
All the spoilers. So
wait.
Wrong show, Daniel.
So
but
there,
you said the line.
You get everybody. So
I did.
I happen to two of the places I mod. One happens to be full spoiler most of the time, and that is the Dusty Wheel. Another one is the Wheel Reads, where the show itself has 2 first-time readers in it. But the Discord has evolved to be such a place where if you want to talk full spoilers, you can. If you want to be, spoilers only up to Fires of Heaven, you can. It's set for you personally. And so I love that this community has, if you know, there's a podcast out there. If you're into smoking weed and that's what you want to do is smoke weed and talk the wheel of time,
right?
There's a podcast for that. Might not be my cup of tea, but maybe it's yours. And I want to help you get there. So,
and it's one of the benefits of such a diverse story with such a diverse fandom. And I need people to understand the full weight of what I'm saying, because it is such a diverse story and diverse fandom. And what you get when you dip your toes in the water, so to speak, is exactly what Zuul is saying. Because first content creator in recent memory that I came in contact with was Nay Bliss. Now, of course, 20 years ago, it was dragonmount.com, and I'm a noob on the forums trying to, I'm on the forums. And it was pathetic, but it was awesome, but also pathetic. No, it was bad. I'm the guy in the forums going, how do you do this? I don't get it.
Pathetic on your part, not Dragonmount's part.
On my part, yes. I'd like to specify. And the folks on Dragonmount at that time were super welcoming, super awesome. So long story short, it's really nice to see that the fandom has remained relatively unchanged in the scenario of welcoming new fans into the environment and pointing the way and saying, hey, maybe this is more your speed, or maybe this is more your speed, because the story does lend itself to all types of different perspectives of interaction. And some people are down with full spoilers. Some people are down with spoiler free. Some people are down with us, chaotic and tainty, and just we're going to go from subject to subject and just we're going to spit about a specific subject and then move on to the next subject, and there's not much rhyme or reason to it, and that's cool. Some people are like, hey, you know what, I'd prefer a chapter by chapter. And it's super cool to see that there are people like you, Zuul, who are are able to be a bridge to the different pieces of the fandom, so that you don't get situations in which I feel like in other fandoms there are situations where people come in and go, I like this a lot. What do I do? And someone goes, you have to do this and this and this.
Right.
And they go, I'm not down with that really. Like Supernatural. I don't think that Cass wants to fuck Sam. But there's that like presence on the internet. And it's kind of like, oh, if that's what the story's about, I kind of feel like, he obviously wants to be with Dean.
Oh my God, Josh, you're the worst.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
I mean, doesn't everybody want to be with Dean? I don't understand.
I'm a Sam guy. Sam is definitely more my cup of tea. Dean's cooler, but he ditched me so much faster.
It's cool to kind of watch this happen because I got into the fandom.
Why are we here, guys? What are we doing?
Only to suffer. That's why we're here.
I know, right? Sorry, Andrew, you got into the fandom.
Yeah,
why?
Like August. Nothing better to do with my life. It's actually like pretty fairly accurate. Like I wasn't really doing much at the time. Didn't expect this to be what it is now for sure. But I think it was like August or September of 2018. I opened my phone. I opened up the Internet Explorer, or not Internet Explorer, Google Chrome. And the homepage for me is Google, and it'll put up articles they think you're interested in. And the first one was Wheel of Time series gets TV show. And I was like, freaked out. And I clicked it, and I'm like looking, and there's not much information other than, Amazon and Sony have been tapped. And I think at the time,
you got the second wave. That's great.
The second wave.
I got the first wave when they were like, Wheel of Time is getting a TV series. It's gonna be on FX. Wait 5 years. Yeah. Winter Dragon. Go and watch that shit.
You got the fake wave.
2:30 in the morning on a Tuesday.
Yeah, you got the fake wave. I came in at the real wave.
I got the first wave.
And there was sparse information. Amazon and Sony showrunner's going to be Rafe Judkins, and that's all we know. And I started looking for more information. I was like, "There's got to be more. There's somebody that is like spoofed or leaked something out there." And I had been off Twitter for at least a couple of years, like since I stopped streaming, about 2 years. And I finally just went to Twitter and started looking up. And that's whenever I found it wasn't like a super massive fandom like it is now. I say this is super massive. I'd say it's pretty freaking huge.
Huge.
It's a freaking huge fandom. But none of that, it wasn't that big at the time, at least on Twitter. And so, that was during the time where, like, if you were following different content creators, you could probably message just about anybody that was a content creator at the time and get an answer from them within, like, a couple days. Not everybody, but a couple. And conversation started, and we decided to start the podcast. But in those early days when everybody was starting to kind of use Discord and all this other stuff, if you saw the same people over and over again in a Discord, typically it was like a content creator or people that were very involved with the content creators. And, there were some people that, you'd see them in the same, 2 or 3 different Discords. But it wasn't super common to see the same person that wasn't directly a content creator in like every Discord you go into, until somebody got introduced to Discord and the Wheel of Time fandom. And I remember going into the Dusty Wheel Discord and, talking a couple times and, just puttering around and looking at a couple other Discords. And then I started to notice when I got a notification that Zuul has entered the Discord. Zuul has entered the Discord. Or I joined a Discord and Zuul was already there. And I'm just like, who are you? You are everywhere.
I've been waiting for you, Andrew.
And it was really cool because you always were, super active and, welcoming everybody that comes in and chatting with people and all this kind of stuff. If somebody asked a question, if you weren't the first to answer, you were within the first 5 to answer, and all that kind of stuff. So it's really cool what you've been able to do. And I know you've helped me with a ton of stuff. Like even in personal life, I used to have a pretty bad proclivity for talking over people without even thinking about it.
Uh-huh.
And one day I got a message from Zuul like, "Hey, did you notice you have a tendency to talk over people?" And I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't react good to the message, and it took me like, I don't know, a week or two before I was finally like, yeah, thanks. I'm moseying my way back into it, but yeah, and that's helped me out a lot because the guy that would say something at work no longer says anything because I don't do it anymore.
That's awesome.
That is
Someone who shows growth. And that is one of the things I do love about the fandom is that if you are willing to listen to other people and grow in different situations, you're given second chances. And if you're showing, like, if you really screw up in the way you treat someone, whatever it is the case may be, and someone approaches you, if you maybe can you say, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying and I see what you mean, and I want to do better, and you demonstrate that you can do better, you can go on and be still be a great member of the community. And this community is very, very willing to help you do that and be better. And I can say that there are people that, I sometimes can be brusque. I am a former teacher. I'm a mom. And sometimes I can be like, it's just very direct, like, because I've, been that, stop it.
I synced it with both eyes. I've gotten it once or twice.
Sometimes people, that they're fine with that. They're like, okay, I get it. And sometimes it's not the right way to deal with someone.
Sure.
And I have to step back and go, okay, I could have handled that one better. And I will probably still do that sometimes. But I hope that people can come to me and say, hey, in this situation, what if you looked at it from this point of view? Because I don't know that you saw how this came off.
Yeah.
And it's a really great welcoming community. And the more of us who can do that and can communicate, unlike the people in the series, then if we can learn from their mistakes and communicate better, then we can keep building this community and we can keep welcoming people in, including the many TV watchers who we're going to get.
I don't think you actually understand. Delusions of Grendel killed my mother. And it doesn't matter how much evidence I see to the contrary. She will always have killed my mother. And therefore, she's the worst. And I'm going to put some rings on. But
did she really? Did she? Because
I mean,
okay,
I really should be asking
friend,
more questions, but I'm not
really
going
think so.
to.
Okay, well, but your sister. Have you listened to your sister? You don't believe
Which
your sister? You don't believe your sister?
Probably not. Or my girlfriend, or any of the other people who are telling me it's not.
Or any of the other people. Okay. Well, just don't go and do something so stupid that it's going to get the Emerald Sea killed. Okay, that's all I ask.
That sounds like it.
That's all I ask.
No, I actually really appreciate that, because that is definitely, I mean, online communities are such a mixed bag. Just always. Every time, always, because I don't mean to be sort of generalizing or stereotypical or anything like that. There are absolutely just huge swaths of people who are just living their lives and then also very much involved in some kind of communities, and they are sane, intelligent human beings who, you know, regularly have good things to say, sometimes go off on weird tangents. We wouldn't know anything like that about that, but you know, and then there are people who, again, as I said, not to generalize or stereotype, but sort of sit in their rooms all day and sort of just vent on the internet, whether it be in this community, that community, or, you know, politics or fandoms or this, that, and the other thing. And it can often feel very unwelcoming and very unattainable right at the beginning because, as Andrew said, or no, actually it was Josh. As Josh said, you know, there are certain times when you join a community and they're like, okay, cool. To be part of this community, you have to do these certain things, or you have to think these certain ways, or if you don't think that book 4 is the best book that's ever happened, like, you're just categorically wrong. And, you know,
we also know that book 6 is the best book.
What? Book 5, Heretic.
I hate both of you. But no, again, it's I actually really like book 4. I think Zuul and I are actually on the same page. But again, there isn't a right answer for that.
No, there isn't. Absolutely not.
There isn't a right answer to that.
And that can change every time you read the series.
Yes, exactly. And that's sort of the nice thing is that when I found the community, again, you know, I had sort of the same experience as Andrew, where I kept on seeing your name. And unfortunately, I didn't actually meet you until, you know, sort of the special event that Andrew and I joined. But I did sort of, you know, see a few comments and see a few different things that, like, up until the point of meeting you, and even after, let me be clear, like, I agreed with so much of what you were saying. And again, it was all really nice to be like openly and actively invited into places and like, cool, come on in. There are no requirements. There are no prerequisites. There are no, you know, anything. The only prerequisite is, where are you in the series? So that we can actually tell you certain things based on what you already know. But other than that, there is no requirement on what you do, what you say, as long as it's not hateful. But like what you do, what you say, and what you know, other than we want to send you to the right place. And I really appreciated that as a community. And so far, I certainly don't want to say that we're the best community ever, because I haven't seen all of them. I don't know if we're actually the most welcoming or best, but there are some fandoms out there, and I won't say any names, Steven Universe, that are like really unwelcoming and really like antagonistic when you first join.
The views in this episode do not necessarily represent the views of Zuul. These views only represent the individual.
Or even Black Tower podcast as a whole, Daniel. But like, this, I don't know how many times I've been told that I don't understand Rick and Morty because I'm not smart enough to get it. I don't understand this, that, or the other thing because I'm not smart enough, or I don't know enough, or I'm not liberal enough, or I'm not conservative enough to understand. And it's like, no, I just disagree with your view, and that should be allowed. And I feel like that is allowed in this community, and I
feel like that interaction right there like illustrates exactly kind of what we're talking about. Steven Universe, one person has a really great experience, one person has a really terrible experience. I feel like there are people who have come into the Wheel of Time fandom who have not had as positive as an experience. My language skills are deteriorating.
The lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue.
The lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue. And And so I feel like it's and you know, Daniel and Andrew and I have worked really hard to build a space that is welcoming, that we wanted to sort of change that, because we know that, you know, currently the Wheel of Time is a niche group. Okay, let's face it. Yes, there are millions of books sold. It is a #1 bestseller. And, you know, but again, as the joke that we commonly make on the show is that, you know, #1 bestseller, millions of copies sold, and I'm reading the book
Where
going,
the fuck are they?
where the hell are all the other people that bought the damn book? I'd like to talk to them about it. But we know that and I feel like we're probably the one fandom that has the ability to look forward. Maybe it's just because
Not
it's
the
been
one,
my exposure.
but
One of the fandoms who've been able to look forward and say, guys, we're about to have a very large influx of fans. It would be really cool if we had some foundation work to welcome those fans. Right. And now I had to step away for a second, so I wasn't sure if we got to talk about the Discord for the Wheel of Time content creators very much. But
we have not.
We've been focusing on like the fandom itself. We haven't got into those other parts yet.
Well, now, and this is related, I promise. ADD Bane, promise. We actually created, you know, we worked with a number of other content creators. We created a Discord for content creators.
By content creators, voted on with content creators in mind.
And one of the things that we did
was populated by Zuul. Content creators.
With the exception of at least 2 people.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things we did early on was brought in Zuul, because we know that Zuul is super good at what she does, super familiar with the fandom and what these kinds of things need to happen. Don't let her fool you with her talk earlier of, I have no idea what I'm doing. She knows. She's super smart. She's wicked smart.
I'm wicked smart. Yeah, I am.
There's fake it till you make it, and then there's I still think I'm faking it even after I've made it.
And then there's Zuul, sitter in one of the Ajas and the White Tower, and I'm sorry, Zuul, you're probably more of a wise one. You're like,
oh yeah,
I know.
I'm a wise one.
You know, the fake it till you make it phrase at some point gets flipped, where you make it until you can fake it, so you get to a position where you fake that you're working still.
But the aspect that I'm trying to get to here is that overwhelmingly, as we talk to other content creators in the community, we've said, hey, this is coming. We want to build a place that is welcoming, and overwhelmingly every single one of them have come in and been like, oh my God, I've wanted to do the same thing and I just didn't know where to start. Let's do this. And we've all kind of worked together, and it's granted, it's the fandom that I have the most exposure to, so I can say this in a very biased way, but it's a lot of people that are very welcoming and very invested in creating a space that is welcoming to new fans. And I don't feel like you get, because even to this day, you know, when you watch the Lord of the Rings movies and you start talking about the Lord of the Rings movies, there's still kind of a partition there of people going, well, I'm a Lord of the Rings book fan. I mean, the movies were good, but I'm a book person. There's still sort of a divide there. And I sincerely hope that we don't have that. I know we will, but I sincerely hope that this effort continues to go forward. And I like that. And I'm done rambling. Someone interrupt me. Stop me.
So let's go ahead, Zuul.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for inviting me in to help administrate the Discord for content creators, because one of the things that I found so exciting about this community was I started getting in some voice chats with various content creators, and there are about me 3, 4, 5 in there together, and they're all talking and, you know, sharing ideas and about, you know, how, and they were helping each other. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. They're not territorial. It's not like, oh, you're getting into my territory. That's my bailiwick. Stop it right there. I do it better than you. So just turn around and leave.
I've been here longer.
Exactly. And it didn't matter if you were like, hey, I have 2-3 episodes of a podcast just getting out there and I'm trying to figure things out. Or if it's, and they're talking to someone who has been doing this for a couple of years, it doesn't matter. Or, whether it's, someone who's YouTube and another person goes, okay, I'm trying to figure out what's the best thing to do with this. And what do I do with hashtags? And how do I manage this? And I have this problem with my chat or whatever it is. They're so willing to help each other that I was thrilled to be asked to be an administrator for this, because I was like, oh yes, I'm all about the collaboration. I'm all about growing the community. I'm all about that. So the fact that you have, it bodes well for the community that your content creators all want to help each other and, want to, because, okay, a rising tide raises all ships, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so,
as any wise wave mistress would say.
And so, and if we as fans could not be, as we as fans can also not be like, hey, if you're not listening to the Black Tower and you're listening to that podcast over there, then I'm sorry, I just can't.
Mm-hmm.
If you seriously, and so if we as a community can then also translate that as well into, okay, so you just watched the show. Maybe you're not a reader. Maybe you're never going to be a reader. But hey, I love this character. What do you think of this character and what they did with this character here? Where do you think this character is going? And we can still have those conversations with them, even though we have read all 15 books and maybe been on forums, maybe not, I don't know. And, I charged all of the community members to help be that welcoming person.
Yes.
If you see somebody who's kind of just sort of hanging in the background there, engage with them a little bit, talk to them a little bit, make them feel comfortable, and let them know, just because you are buddy with a bunch of other people, that it doesn't mean that they can't join too and be part of, maybe something and you're using language that they don't know. I know you guys are like looking at something on Discord or something that I'm not seeing.
Sorry. So you said that we've all read 15 books and there is still a running joke that Andrew still hasn't read Spring. So she's only read 14. And some more Shani posted it in the chat. And I lost
Snakes and Foxes.
Or sorry,
Snakes and Foxes.
Snakes and Foxes. You're absolutely right. I apologize. And so I lost.
But I'm sure more Shani was thinking it.
Again,
more Shani was halfway through typing the sentence.
We still love you, Andrew.
I have to check myself for not saying things like that, because I know that it doesn't actually bother Andrew, but I know that it mildly bothers Andrew when we're like, hey Andrew, read New Spring, you fucking degenerate.
It's on the schedule.
And so the fact that Snakes and Foxes did it, I just it made me so happy.
But to think about that though, like you've got
me not reading New Spring
books of content.
Yes.
No, think about that too. But you've got 15 books of content. Obviously, there are going to be things that appeal or jump off the page more readily than other things to certain people. Mm-hmm. That's the true genius behind this series, this story. And I'm happy saying it's the greatest story ever told, because Robert Jordan did such a great job of building such a large and complete world that anybody who wants, and I'd be willing to say it, I'll be so bold as to say it right now, every single person in the world who reads the full series will find something that they like and or resonate with. And I don't know that you can say that about every story.
Right.
Well, and I want to throw out there, I don't want to take anything away from that statement, and I do actually agree with it as far as Robert Jordan really did sort of geniusly put together this story. It's why we are all here talking on this podcast, and we don't have a podcast about X or Y or Z. I also want to include just written word in general. I mean, like, that's the genius about stories. That's the genius about books in general, is the fact that, you know, when it comes right down to it, it's all media. That's not true. But like, books seem to be the most varied thing that I have ever come across. That I can read a book and Josh can read a book and we can come together and be like, cool, so I read this book. And he'll be like, oh, I read this book. And we took in the same exact words. And we read completely different books. Because again, it's that, you know, I resonated with chapter 14 of this book and he resonated with chapter 3. And, you know, we took completely different things out of the characters and we imagined the props and the settings so differently and things like that, where, you know, again,
you have different lived experiences.
Exactly.
You
That's
bring
so
something
much of it.
different to the story.
Yes.
And so the thing
really
is I will say, as a veteran reader, I started reading in my early 20s, and I have read it again.
Yeah.
You know, since. And so there are characters that I did not like, did not resonate with, did not understand very well at first. Now that I'm older, now that I've been a parent, now that I've been a teacher, now that I have so much more life experience, I understand some of the characters more. Now that I have friends and family members who have been in the military.
Yep.
And I've heard and I've taken in what they've said, and I've read some about Robert Jordan. You know, I learn more every time I read about those parts of the story. And so it is such a rich, rich world that you can continue to do that. And that is something that the new people coming in, you know, need to see, whether it's their first time through or not, that, hey, we haven't gotten everything that we can get out of the story. You might see something I never saw. And I'm here for it.
Well, and that's one of the things that I've seen so much that is it. I mean, I think it's one of the coolest parts about the community. I think it's one of the coolest parts about the story, and I think it's one of the coolest parts about being as involved as the three of us and you especially get to be in the community, is that, you know, I've now been on Zoom calls with a bunch of people who have all read the books. And I'll say something like, man, you know, I don't really understand this character very much. And somebody will be like, oh, well, let me take a moment to go ahead and actually sort of explain what I got out of that character. And I'll be like, I've never lived through that. I had no idea that that was actually anybody's real life experience, and that they were sitting there going, that's my guy or that's my girl, because they've actually, you know, I resonate with them so hard. And I've always been like, who cares? Why do I care about this character and their experience? Because I just didn't even know. And the fact that there are such varied experiences and such varied opinions and such varied, you know, everything.
Hey, Josh, you still alive over there?
I'm alive.
Listen,
I'm alive.
I'm pretty sure Zuul can attest to this, but nobody in a classroom looks down at their crotch and smiles unless they're on their phone or doing something illegal.
I was not.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
And a teacher friend of mine did have that on the front of his podium.
Yep.
I was about to go into
We
the
know.
fact
We
that
know.
as you read from early days as a younger person,
Oh,
and you
I see a
read-
mug flex there. Go ahead and flex it. Is that a Weekly Will News mug? No, it's
Hey.
a
This
Will
one
Reads
is
mug.
the wheel reads.
Will
That
Reed.
one is the Dusty Wheel.
Nice.
Nice.
Maybe one of these days I'll get one of those fancy schmancy Black Tower.
Well,
mugs.
maybe when we've been around as long as the Dusty Wheel, we'll actually give them out as gifts to our guests.
Been around
You've
longer
been
than the
around
Dusty
longer.
Wheel. Not as long as Matt, but longer than the Dusty Wheel.
Sorry, you're right. We've been I meant as long as Matt. I didn't mean the show necessarily.
You can't
I meant
ignore
Matt.
Taylor. Taylor's like 65% of the show with the amazing work he does.
I was going to say that as a person who reads the books early on in life, as a young teen, you resonate with certain characters. You go up and you say, "Oh, for me it was Rand. I'm sorry, and I'm not
Still am.
afraid or scared to admit it." When I read
Still
it first,
is.
I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm Rand." Like, oh God, I could feel the pain.
Same here. I too wish to
Like-
climb to the top of a mountain and scream
Yeah.
at the heavens.
The whole emo vibes, like that was me, like right
And
now.
I was
Now,
a young
as an
Rand.
adult,
My father took
reading
me
through
up
the
to a
series,
mountain.
all I can hear in my mind when I read is Matt and just being like, "Fucking leave me alone." You know what I want to do? I want to go to a bar. I want a big mug of ale
It comes
and
in
a
pints.
cute girl to flirt with. That's what I want. That's
a
it.
thick girl to flirt with, specifically. If you're Matt.
I want some dummy thick bar wench that I can flirt with and just throw some coins at and live a little dangerously and have a little
Throw
fun.
a
I
coin
don't
to your
want
pocket.
to save the world. And I believe very much that in another 10 years I will read the series again and I'll be like, shit, Tom knew what he was doing.
Dude, I am
So-
at the point in my reread where I am like, I'm starting to be off of Rand and on to Lon, and it makes me feel old. And I know that when I start getting from Lon to Gareth Bryn, I will have hit like my twilight years. That's when I'll know I'm done.
Everybody
Okay.
who likes Gareth Bryn has just been triggered. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. When
Good.
I
I'm
have
glad.
switched from the hot ones in the series are Land, yes, and Rourke.
Oh, of course. Dude, first read through,
And
I
then
got wet every
Tam,
time
okay,
Rourke
and
came
Tam.
on.
All right, those are the three. When I was younger, though, it was going to be Rand and eventually Matt.
Sure.
Once you got to see more layers of Matt, but it wasn't those other ones. It was
Yeah.
So but that's part of the switching perspectives.
Yeah.
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 Well, and again,
That's
it
definitely
also,
true, 'cause initially for
your
me it was like
romantic
men,
interests as well.
and now it's
like,
Avienda, so
you went from a lamp to a warrior.
you shut your whore mouth.
Hey,
I've been
I
kicked
am
off
with
the podcast so many times. It's so fantastic.
not a lamp.
Hey,
Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
I
not a lamp.
nobody
He just
on
says it
this
just to fuck with
podcast
me every
actually
time.
agrees with
Every
that
time.
Yep.
statement.
It's true.
I just
It's true.
And I am so excited for the actress they have picked for her.
Mhm.
She kicks ass.
Right though.
Oh
It's gonna
my
be
goodness.
awesome.
That
I know.
such a mighty small package. Oh my goodness.
But
Dynamite
we almost
comes
had the
to small
perfect
package.
segue
Dynamite.
earlier. I'm gonna refocus us back to our original topic a little bit, because the conversation is
Wait, we had a
fantastic.
topic?
Sometimes we do, and sometimes we talk about it. You know, most of the time we just talk about something for 10 minutes and then shave ourselves bald. But
You're not wrong.
But
I don't think that's actually most of the time. I feel like that was once.
That was just you. Half
We
bald,
did. Josh and I did
it
mustache.
was
did
full on bald
this.
by the end of the day.
and then he
And
did.
Andrew did actually do his full head.
Yeah,
eventually.
after I did just like that much of
The
it,
front half, yeah.
which wasn't a lot of hair since I have like the quintessential
I've
widow's
got-
peak. So
All right,
I've
so
got
where were you trying to
Shinar and
redirect us to?
Top Knot right now. I'm from
There you go.
Shinar.
So we were talking about the link. You can name the Discord, like we said a couple times. The content creator Discord, it's not a secret. It exists, and obviously you can only join it with an invite link. It's not a public Discord. And until relatively recently, there were only 2 non-content creators in the Discord. Now there's 1. Because one of the non-content creators is now very much a content creator. And if you didn't know that Delusions is a content creator now, go watch Dusty Will's speed dating live stream. So, because that was fantastic. I've never had 5 minutes feel so short in my life. But, so
I
Zuul,
regularly have 5 minutes feel really short.
Yeah.
Wait, shoot, I shouldn't have said that out loud.
That's what she said. That's what she said.
But as someone that came from the fandom, getting into it, figuring out kind of where everything is, how things are going about, and being party to some of those voice chats where content creators are just kind of spitballing back and forth and talking about different things, to now having the golden key to at least some of the secrets, because there's things that we are planning well in advance that we talk about in the link in the content creator Discord, with the understanding that anybody that comes in, you know, unless we've said, hey, yeah, you can talk about this, you can't. So going from, you know, we're only having what's said openly in the voice chat, which is often very much to some degrees moderated. Like, hey, what do you think if I did? I can't talk about that yet. To now being able to see kind of everything behind the scenes, the newer content creators coming in asking questions, the older content creators or even fellow newer content creators asking or answering them, and just how things have gone in the link. What do you think about the way that the content creators within the Wheel of Time fandom interact?
I absolutely love it. I think that you know, you're seeing more and more collaboration between content creators, and you're seeing people who have maybe a certain you know, niche or niche, and being invited for their expertise over into this other area, because it makes the content stronger to sort of cross-pollinate. And you don't want to become homogenous. That's not what we want. We want everybody to keep their own flavor, but it is fantastic. Like
barbecue chips.
It is fantastic to get, and then you get different parts of the community overlapping and going, oh, there's more to this community than just this one content creator or these 2 content creators, and you get to see how big and varied it is. And so I think as it continues to grow, that's just going to get better. And one of the things we have not mentioned as far as this is go, we mentioned the link, which is content creators. One place that you can go, and you just mentioned the speed dating for podcasts that the Dusty Wheel did. If you want to go look at that for
which was a great video.
20 podcasts, just kind of a little
fun.
sampler play to get a little dab of this, you know, you can test it out. I think he's going to do maybe another one for podcasts, maybe another, like a second one for podcasts, because there's so many. He's probably going to do one for like YouTubers. Who knows what all he's going to do. He's going to do more of those. But something we have not mentioned is the greatblight.com, where you can go and you can find all kinds of content creators. And you can find artists and musicians, and it's not just podcasters and YouTubers, right? There are more people creating more things here. I mean, and you even have Instagrammers, right? And so you have people who are in the Twitter community, Twitter of Time. Go to Twitter, hashtag Twitter of Time. Look
Did we
it
just
up.
have a guest introduce this plug?
All right, guys. Well, as we all know here at the Black Tower podcast, not everything that is touched by the shadow is lost. And that is totally true for the great Blight.com. Now, Nablus and his team have done an amazing job of going ahead and putting this together, and it is possibly the greatest resource for those of us here in the Wheel of Time community. First off, you have this awesome homepage with posts from a bunch of your favorites. You can go and check out new things that you've never seen before, keep up to date on content creators that you already follow, and just go ahead and dip as many of your toes or your entire foot as you want into all of the different things that are going on. Now, also here, there is probably the best list of content creators. There's YouTubers, podcasters, artists, musicians, just about everything you could want. And if you don't see your favorite content creator there, that's fine. There is an application included in the site to go ahead and make sure that your favorite content creator is part of it. Just encourage them to fill out the application, and Nablus will be in touch. Now, after you've gone ahead and checked that out, you're going to want to pop over to the ever-expanding library here at the Great Blight, because it is something particularly special. Now, I don't know how many times I've gone ahead and joined a fandom only to find out halfway through my first read, looking up a character, that they die in the second to last book, which sucks. It always is very disappointing when you can't look up anything interesting about what you've read for fear of things that you haven't read yet. But they've fixed the problem over at thegreatblight.com. It is a spoiler-free wiki. That's right. That means that if you've only read up to Path of Daggers and you really want to find out what in the world you missed about Egwene because there's something you just don't understand, or if you want to get more information about Rand because you think he's super cool, you don't need to read past Path of Daggers, and it's not going to ruin you on a Memory of Light before you've gotten there. You'll know exactly where to stop. You'll know exactly where you are. And once you're done with that, make sure that you go ahead and help the site out, the content creators out, everything like that, with the beta nature of it. Up here at the top, you're going to see a problem, have a suggestion button. That is specifically for if you have any issues with the site or if you have any feedback. It's only something that we can make better with feedback and with help from the community. So come on down, check it out. Grab a couple of our videos or grab a couple of our podcasts, and we'd love to see you there.
Or
Excellent.
hashtag,
I had to seize the opportunity.
Dragonsworn.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you can hashtag Dragonsworn if that's your particular variety of taint.
Is it
Go
time
for
to
it.
do another poll on the
No.
fandom name?
No, I say if there's going to be another poll, it needs to happen after the show is out and we get more voices in there.
That's fair.
I agree
I
with
think
that.
I think it needs to come about more organically. We get lots of voices to come in, lots of different things, and then we'll kind of they'll be more likely to create our own whatever it is. We'll kind of have our happy medium, a certain few will rise to the top, and then they will get their people who be like, yes, I'm all for this and I'm all for that, and we can give it a little more time. I don't think it's been long enough.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.
Yeah,
I mean that's definitely fair. So yeah, like just being privileged to be in the content creator community, because there's no day that I ever look at myself and be like, I'm a content creator. Like, no, I'm a moron that gets on a Zoom call once a week.
Right? Though,
Talks with
for
two
real
other
though.
morons.
That's kind of the basis of our show. Is we're just
Imposter syndrome? Is that the
Regular
basis of our
dudes.
show? Is that what you're saying?
we're regular dudes who love the Wheel of Time. We don't have the clout or the community presence that, you know, Mr. Jason Denzel has, or Mr. Matt Hatch has. Like, these guys have a long-term investment in the community, and it's impressive and amazing to be in the same sort of space with them. I hope that makes sense.
And to be able to reach out and send a message to either one of those and get an answer. I mean, it's pretty cool. And you kind of get the same thing every time you talk to a lot of these folks that, you know, we as a fandom to varying degrees put on a pedestal. You know, there's Matt's kind of pedestal that a lot of the fandom will put him on. And a lot of this is like just respect. It's very much earned. Yes. But being the person on the receiving end of it, even the, you know, the kind of like conversations we get into, and when it kind of happens to us, like most of the time, if not every time, blows our mind. Like when we had Jason on, he looked at us like, "Oh, I've wanted to be on your show for a while," and we're like,
"Yeah, that."
Wait, you knew about our show?
I need an audio
feeling. Yeah, that's a new feeling.
So I mean, it's pretty cool, but it just shows how humble. Even going back to when, you know, Dragon Mount was founded and everything, and the kind of person that, you know, Jason is, Matt with all of his experience, you know, working with JORDANCON and Theoryland, and doing all the amazing stuff he's done, that it seems to be, at least in general, as a generalization, that I'm going to say 95%, just giving a 5% margin of error, that Wheel of Time content creators are seemingly inherently humble people. At least if they're putting on their content creator face. I mean, somebody, you know, I can't say how everybody is like personally, but everybody I've interacted with and talked to, and I believe everybody that Daniel and Josh have been able to interact with since they came on the podcast, it's just incredibly welcoming and all this other kind of stuff. Like, I know right now I could send Matt a message and be like, "Hey, we want to get into doing more live streams, obviously on days where you're not doing live streams. Do you or Taylor have any tips for us?" And he probably, let me talk with Taylor and get back to you. And I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't get like a message or email from, you know, Taylor using his account or something. And that's kind of what the link was made to foster, that kind of collaboration. It doesn't have to be, "Hey, I'll come on your show if you'll come on my show." It can be,
"Yes,
we're thinking about doing this. Have you done this?"
And that's something I've seen from, you know, behind the scenes, is that someone will come in with a question, and sometimes it's just like, "Hey, does anyone know anything?" And sometimes it's like, "Hey, here's what I know, here's what I did wrong. Learn from what I did wrong, you know?" or here are these tools that you can use, and someone else will come in and say, "Hey, there's this other tool I've used both of these, and this is what I found about this or that." And I love that. I love it so much.
The other thing I would love,
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay. The other thing I would love to point out, and
we're all too nice,
for whoever hears this is more of a very cautionary tale. Not going to go into specifics about any particular instance, but if you are an individual that decides, "Hey, I'm going to look at podcast, YouTube channel, music maker, artist X, Y, or Z, and be very inappropriate and rude, possibly even threatening with them," literally there's a place where they can send one message, and literally pretty much every content creator in the Wheel of Time community knows about you instantly. And it's pretty well addressed. That was not a benefit I thought of whenever we started talking about this idea of making a content creator Discord, but it's been super beneficial benefit to where when you have situations that are either challenging to deal with, or you have somebody that's interacted with you in a negative way, you at least get the warning very early on. And people have different experiences with these individuals.
And you get the chance to say, "Oh shit, I didn't mean that," or to prove your colors and say, oh yeah, I'm a troll. Some people are. No, I think it's fair to address the fact that there are trolls out there. This is part
are they
of,
mostly under bridges?
Yes.
I've met most of them under bridges.
They're mostly under white.
Part of the reason that we wanted to have this conversation with Zuul, with this person, with this environment, is because we did want to say that, look, as a newcomer to the fandom, as someone who's maybe you've read the books 3 or 4 times, maybe you've read the books 20 times, but you've never really integrated into a fandom. Right. The idea being is that no matter what your experience level with the Wheel of Time, we want you to come in, feel welcome, and be able to find people that you can talk to the Wheel of Time about. And we wanted to create an environment where new fans, maybe fans of the TV show, can come in and say the same thing.
Yeah.
But if trolls come in, and trolls want to come in, and like, oh God, I remember with Harry Potter and book 7, and it was like they started selling t-shirts that said Dumbledore dies on page 170.
That's book 6, but okay.
Book 6, yeah.
Whatever it was, it was bullshit. It was messed up. It was not okay. And it was like, that's not how I get down. That's not my sense of humor, but I do recognize that other people do have that type of humor. And you know what? They can do that. That's cool. But as long as people who are not okay with that are insulated from that and directed to a place where they say, hey, look, if you're not okay with that, maybe go over here instead of over there.
Yeah, well, and I think that Zuul hit the nail right on the head, early on in this talk. There are cautionary tales that we tell about certain things in certain situations, and they are not as a threat. They are not as like if that's something that you are into, like spoiling things for other or talking full spoilers, even though you don't even if you haven't gotten to that book and things like that. It's not that that's wrong. I don't like it, but that doesn't mean that I want to make it so that no one can like that. It's not that, if you think it's funny to go ahead and run around the internet and say all of the deaths that happen in the entire Game of Thrones books, that is wrong inherently, because it's not. If you find the right people to do that with, it can actually be very fun for you and them and everybody involved. But the important part is to be where you're meant to be, is to be, for lack of a better word, filtered into where that actually works, where that makes sense, and where that will be appreciated. And as a full spoilered podcast, we recognize that there are a lot of people who are going to start watching the show. And if they don't like spoilers for the series, they're not going to listen to a lot of our episodes. And that's okay. We're not trying to grab every listener every time for every occasion. Because if you don't want to hear spoilers, you're not going to be happy that you listened to our episode that's full spoilers. And we're not going to be happy that you listened to our episode and then we're disappointed. So you should be over listening to something like, one of the chapter by chapter podcasts that only gets to, X before the next episode of the series comes out. You should be listening to, podcasts that are only working on talking about the series as it's happening, things like that. And then there are going to be people who are totally fine with spoilers, and they can jump into episode 4 of ours that's utterly spoilery and be like, wait, who dies? Oh man, that's going to really suck at the end of this show, and be 100% fine with knowing.
And they're like, wait, I can't wait to see how this happens.
Right?
There are people who are like that. There are people who are like that. And so that is one of the things I ask, because I'm, if I ask, are you the first time readers? I'm like, okay, well then for spoiler reasons, we want you to have this role because it will protect you. Oh, I don't care. Are you sure? Because There are some
Well-
big spoilers. And just because, and I will say, just because someone has been spoiled on a thing or two, or they've run into a troll or two in some place, because it is a big internet out there. And, there are, I will say, a heavier percentage of them in the less personal spaces of
Yes.
Facebook or Reddit or occasionally Twitter.
Mhm.
Whereas if you don't like that stuff and you've never tried Discord, try Discord, because it is a more personal space, whether it's just text chat or occasionally voice chat, where you can actually get to know people a little more. Those are the places they're going to be more carefully guarded. Those are the places where you can't remain a troll for very long at all without just being like, goodbye. We don't put up with that here.
Now I'm thinking of that
and we've
image where
made-
there's the person who's like laying there with their little sword on the ground, with like one arrow in their shoulder or whatever, and Zuul is like the big hulking like armored figure above them that's just taking all the arrows in the back to go ahead and
Yes.
protect them.
It's true though. No, and we've made the joke on the show numerous times that Wheel of Time fans cared about spoilers. We're the hipsters of spoilers. I mean, and it's factual.
A little bit.
We cared about spoilers back in the 90s. We had Raffo, okay? Hashtag Raffo. That's ours.
Mhm.
We had that.
It is
20
started by
years.
Jordan himself.
Yes. 20 years before any other fandom had it. It was ours. So we cared about spoilers long before anybody else did. And as we talked about with Jason Denzel on the show, is that even Robert Jordan was invested in a fan community.
It's like the
Thus
holy
proving
trinity
that-
of acronyms: RAFO,
Right.
MAFO, and WAFO.
And we have quite simply probably the best
Maria
Thank you,
and find out.
setup.
That was some
for
of Brandon's answers. Was
protecting
Maria and find out. Basically, ask
Oh,
Maria.
okay. Yes. Sorry.
Maria
WAFO,
and
of course,
find
wait and
out,
find out.
watch and find, wait and find out, which I imagine
It's
will become
watch
watch
and
and
It's watch
find
and
out.
find out now.
Yeah.
It works for
It's
both.
watch.
It just depends on the
does.
context.
It does, but
Like half
Um,
of English language.
So but
YOLO, you ought to look out.
that whole scenario is that, not only was Robert Jordan forward thinking in
Robert
his writing,
Judkins? What?
Robert
I mean, there's the
My
anime
mouth
version
is
of
not
YOLO.
working.
Yandere's only love Oni-chan.
Stop it. I hate you.
Robert Jordan, not only was he forward thinking in his writing and character progression and story progression, but he was also personally very forward thinking in his fan interaction.
Yes.
And I think I would accredit him as well, not only with writing a great story, but I would also accredit him with creating a pretty welcoming and great environment for new fans. Just based on some of the things that he's done throughout the years before he passed, obviously. And Brandon has taken up that torch and I think done pretty well with that as well.
Indeed.
But when you start
Brandon
talking
is
about,
amazing with the community.
right though,
He really is.
Better than
So
anyone
good.
I've ever seen.
it's
Well,
it's
and I
always
feel
fun-
like a lot of it comes from experience, from definitely create or being understanding about his own books, as well as taking over something as beloved as the series that he did. I think a lot of that really is I English. I'm going to figure out words before I say
you
them.
can do it.
Inside
You
my
can
head.
do it. I believe in you.
I think that, the experience that he got was invaluable, but I also respect the shit out of what he has done, both with just his personality as well as taking on certain pieces of other people's personalities and understandings about, the big shoes that he has to fill. But yeah, anyway, we thank you very, very much, Zuul, for coming on and talking to us about the community. I think that this is a topic that we could go on for days
sure.
about, because again,
I agree.
when it comes right down to it, I mean, I'm not saying that there's no one outside of the four of us who thinks more about this community, but there's one person on this episode right now who thinks the most about this community.
Right.
And so I honestly, the conversation could just go on forever about what we'd hope to see in the future, what has happened, and what, we really hope for when people join who are watching the show. But I think that we've said a lot of sort of what overarchingly needs to be said.
Hopefully this episode had some cohesiveness. Hopefully you guys are able to follow along. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself, which is probably the most important aspect of this.
Yes.
I know I enjoyed myself. Zuul, thank you so much for being here. We sincerely appreciate it. We're honored to have you here. We are happy to have you as the administrator in a number of different Wheel of Time inspired Discords. If you're looking for more information about Wheel of Time inspired Discords, you can join our Discord, which is at our website at blacktowerpod.com. You can join other Discords. Most other Wheel of Time content creators have their Discords readily available. They're not too difficult to find, but you can find them. And we'll make sure that you're pointed in the right direction.
And to help with that,
check descriptions on YouTube.
If you go ahead and put in the common room, "Hey Zuul, help me out," I'm sure
she's really great at that. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. You're awesome. We love having you. We're grateful to have you. And as always, I have been Josh, your Sword on Mahale.
Wait. Just a reminder.
Wait.
Zuul, before we go, please remind the people where they can go ahead and find you and contact you, to get filtered into the right places, as well as just to see your lovely face and or hear your lovely words. Where can people do that?
Okay. Well, you will occasionally hear my voice on other podcasts or on a YouTube channel or two. But mostly I am on Discord as Zuul, occasionally some form of Zuul and Dana Lou, which is my name. You can see me in the YouTube comments of the occasional live chat as Dana Lou Who, or on Twitter at Dana Lou _Who. And I would love to interact with you there, but mostly as Zuul on Discord.
In the Wheel of Time
there is no
fandom,
Dana.
you don't find Zuul.
Only
Zuul will
Zuul.
find you.
Yes, and in fact, I'm sure that we will also put the links in the description of this video as well. So if you don't have a second to write that down, just pop to the links.
Everybody loves merchandise, and one of the best possible places to go and get yourself some really dope Wheel of Time inspired and themed merchandise is, of course, newcreationsbyjen.com. So whenever you go to newcreationsbyjen.com, whether you're looking for just Wheel of Time inspired stuff or not, you can find all kinds of really cool merchandise and goodie opportunities, all the way from gifts for your family, friends, significant others, whoever have you, newborns, children, toddlers, women, men, adults, anybody that wants anything, you can find something for them for sure on New Creations by Jen. Now, most of you listening are going to be looking for Wheel of Time stuff. And the easiest way to find it is to go to the catalog section on New Creations by Jen, where you can see the groups of stuff for us at Black Tower Podcasts, Malkir Talks, Talk Around Riyadh, Will Reads, The Will Weaves, and Weekly Will News. So you can find all of this stuff, and you can browse and look at all the different kinds of things that each content creator that is a part of New Creations by Jen's has taken and asked Jen and Rob to put up on the site. Obviously, we're going to use ours as an example so that you can go in and look at Black Tower Podcast stuff, because we are the Black Tower Podcast. So if you go on, you can get our Two Rivers Sniper shot glass as well as Two Rivers Sniper shirt. It's available on a red shirt. So you can go on and you can get our Frosty mug, which is one of the Frosty mug collectibles. Each Wheel of Time content creator that is on New Creations by Jen has a Frosty mug that you can go in and get for yourself. So after you get ours, make sure you get the others and get the entire set and join the Frosty Mug Society. Of course, there's more than just Frosty mugs and little shot glasses, and there's plenty of different kinds of shirts with different designs on them from all of the different content creators. Of course, you can find ours where you can get our logo in black and white on a shirt. I have one myself. It's fantastic and I love it. Jen and Rob do an amazing job of working with not only their customers but the content creators that they help support with this amazing and very good quality merchandise. So if you have not head over to New Creations by Jen and gotten yourself something dope, make sure you go and do that. Again, it's newcreationsbyjen.com.
Okay, bottom line, Zuul equal badass. Like,
Yep. Indeed.
and
That's
Zuul, you are welcome on at the Black Tower anytime.
accurate. Andrew, is there anything else that we need to pop in here before we say sayonara?
Nope.
But yeah,
So-
But it's
All right, well, thank you for having me.
So.
This is fun.
absolutely. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
coming
being
on.
here.
Like, seriously, it's been a great conversation, as well as it's just nice to see you and hear from you.
Agreed.
But yeah, so Josh, you want to take us away again?
So again, and I don't want anyone to think that this was taking the wind out of my sails at all, because my cohorts are very, very good at making sure that we get recognition where recognition is due, and Zuul, recognition is due. So I want to say thank you again. You're awesome. Super excited to be here, and I just wanted to sign off by saying I have been rode hard and hung up wet.
Always.
It's a weird name. But you know, who am I to judge? I have been Andrew, your bias Jean DiGiorno male.
Sure, no.
It's not delivery, it's by Jean Mahale. And I have been your Amin Khan Mahale Daniel. And from all of us here at the Black Tower, thank you so much for listening live to our patrons. And thank you so much for coming and listening to us in whatever capacity, to all of you who are hearing us, whether it be for the first time. We'd love to have you. We loved having you here, and to anybody who's listened to every episode of the Black Tower. And we hope that you're having a lovely morning, that your whole day goes as planned. And in case we don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
We love you.